So for the loan program, these are the current rates that we have. You can see they're pretty competitive. We start at 0% for solar hot water and 2% for PV. Some of the biomass projects I mentioned earlier. We have one landfill project completed, and that one's growing. And then we have 2 additional landfill projects we're working on right now. So anytime we see a landfill, we get very excited and we go after it. So nobody likes trash like me. So right now, we're going to be adding another 16 megawatts possibly of landfill gas to our mix of renewables, and we're very excited about that. On one of the projects that I don't know if Jim Lentz made it today. Jim, you here today? I don't think so. Is he? Okay. One of the projects I'm very excited about is this 5 megawatt hybrid solar biomass project. I don't know anyone else who's doing this kind of project around here, and I think it's a great project. It's a cooperative agreement with Harmony, Florida, and FSU, and it uses biomass gasification and concentrating solar preheats the water to create steam at a temperature of about 250 degrees C, and then you use the biomass to get the rest of the way there. It's a very exciting project, and OUC is really proud to be a part of it. On the MSW side, again, I told you I just love trash. We're also looking at doing something with the City of Orlando and their waste stream. So we're looking at possibly gasifying a portion of their waste stream, and the city is working on that, and we would buy the energy output from that project. So on the horizon, we talked about some of the challenges, and I'm not the kind of person that likes to hear no. So when I see a challenge, I'm going to go after it. And some of the things that on the solar side, obviously the costs are challenging, and the fact that we're 50% plus multifamily is challenging. I decided to get a little creative on the solar side, and here are 2 business models that I'm working on right now. One of them is a community solar farm where you don't have to have it on your roof to get the benefits of net metering. You don't have to pay upfront costs. OUC will go ahead and work with a developer to build a community solar farm somewhere in our territory, and you buy a piece of it like a timeshare. So it would be a fixed monthly fee for the life of the contract. And so far, the calculations we've done has shown it's only 2 or 3 cents above our current retail rate, and that holds for the life of the program, and our rates probably won't hold for the life of the program. So we see a crossover with today's calculations at about year 4 or 5 with this program, where you end up being cash flow positive. It does allow for virtual net metering, which encourages conservation. So if you use less, you save more. And it allows anybody, if you have shading on your roof, you live in multifamily, you don't have an appropriate site for solar, now you can buy into solar and get all the benefits without having to make that upfront investment. On the commercial side, we wanted to do something for our commercial customers as well. So we decided, why don't we try to use our buying power, and we would do the same kind of thing. We would buy, we would enter into a large power purchase agreement with a vendor, but the systems would go on the commercial customers' buildings, and we would act as a billing agent. We would bill the customer whatever the PPA developer bills us, plus we would buy that rate down with an incentive, a production incentive like we do for our other customers. And they would be locked into that fixed monthly rate for 20 plus years. The difference between this and a feed-in tariff, again, is that these customers retain the demand savings from those projects because they're installed on their side of the meter and any net metering. You can't get that from a feed-in tariff. It's a little bit of a different model, and they don't have any upfront costs to participate in this program. The 6 customers we've chosen to pilot this with will all be cash flow positive in year 1 or year 2 with this program. And some things I'm doing on the biomass front. I have 2 projects I'm currently working on. One I mentioned, the co-firing opportunity. And within that, we're looking at innovative ways of dealing with the feedstock transportation, such as using rail cars to ship biomass long distances. What we find is a lot of the forestry products are in North Florida, and we're in Central Florida. So is it possible to use our coal rail to ship biomass instead of coal? So that's something that we're looking at. And then there's a process that is used often in the charcoal industry, which it's called torrefaction, and you take that and you basically burn the wood a little bit to get some of the moisture out and improve the BTU content. So that's a technology that we're looking at as well for wood. And on the algae side, we're getting ready to put in a grant application to look at and see if we can use wastewater as a source to grow algae in cooperation with the county. use our carbon dioxide from our flue gas to feed the algae and make it big and happy, and then withdraw the algae from the clean water and crack it to obtain both biofuels and biomass, and then co-fire that biomass with our coal. So those are the types of projects that we think are innovative and maybe will overcome some of the barriers that we're experiencing in the utility industry. If you have any questions, here's my contact information, and I am all wrapped up.
Jennifer, with your 7% by 2013, with the 10 megawatt project in mind, where are you guys at right now?
Okay, well, without the 10 megawatt project, we're at 2%. So we're going to be increasing by three and a half times what we have now over the next couple years. With the 10 megawatt, I think that will bump us to like 2.8%.
Okay. So by 2013, you expect to be 7% solar. Mm-hmm. So you're
and we have a separate goal of 15 megawatts by 2015 just for solar.
Okay.
Which we are well on our way of meeting.
Thanks.
Jennifer, I think you mentioned that you set an internal goal of 7% by 2013?
7%, right.
What would OUC have to do to meet a goal of 20% by 2020?
A lot more.
Is that feasible? Is that feasible?
Well, we're investigating that right now, and our analysts wanted to get us to this first step first, and see what we could. Basically, we challenged ourselves to see what we could do without really making a big rate impact, and we found that this is what we can do in the near term without having a rate impact. So, can we get to 20% by 2020? Possibly, yeah. I think we can definitely get there from a technology standpoint, but at what cost? And that's what we're trying to determine. And the challenge to doing any kind of utility planning is that the technologies are changing so fast that you kind of have to go back and revise your forecast like every 2 days. So it's a little bit challenging to just put your finger on that number. And but from a technical standpoint, yes, I do think it's feasible. What will it cost us, though?
Do you think that 7% by 2013 ought to be feasible for any utility company?
I cannot speak for other utilities because every utility has their own set of circumstances, and theirs may not be like ours. And I wouldn't want to do that to another utility just because it's very possible that they're just in a completely different circumstance than we are. I mean, it's possible for us.
I was just looking for something that I could go to other utility companies and
I thought you were.
Jennifer said you could do.
Yeah, I thought you were. I'm on to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that there are definitely possibilities to expand renewables, and again, I mean, we are an energy service company. We provide energy to our customers. We're not going to rule out anything if it makes sense for the customers. And so if in 20 years we're all renewable, we're still an energy service company. We just changed our fuel mix, and that's a good thing. That's progress.
Jennifer, I applaud OUC for all the partnerships that they do, especially with the public sector. You do that with Orange County as well. One of the things, though, we get internally sometimes is the perspective of how because we're in the public sector, that with the fairness of dealing with OUC versus some of the other utilities that are in our environment. How do you all address that? Or is it a concern for you? We know it's a concern internally, especially on our operations side.
Right. I mean, as the county, I understand that you are served by 2 different utility companies. I understand that. Well, technically 3 maybe even. And all we can do is offer our best opportunities to you as our customer. And we can't really pressure or speak to what other utilities offer you. You can take our opportunities or not take our opportunities. But again, it's really not something that I can control as to what the other utilities are doing. Generally, we do try to collaborate as utilities and find common ground and find ways to work together whenever possible. So if it's possible to work together with utility on a particular project, we certainly jump at that chance, especially if there are cost savings involved or efficiencies of scale. So again, I hear what you're saying, and unfortunately I can't control what other utilities programs are being offered to you.